Hello, everyone. I am Chaitra Vedalapalli. I'm the founder and CMO at Mela. With me, I have Olivia, and I'm really excited to have her. Today, the topic that we will be talking to you is around design thinking for marketing of virtual events and also digital marketing philosophies of how you need to consider that. And what we have really put an agenda together is really understanding the design thinking principles, strategies to design your marketing campaigns, whether you're in a planning, promotion, or execution. And with Olivia, we will basically have some examples on how brands are using design thinking to advance their digital marketing strategies. Before I get started, I want to kind of get is a outlook for 2021. What's the marketplace looking like? So here is a couple of things that, we just received IAB's final impact report of 2020 is the buyers are optimistic about 2021, and they do expect a 6% overall increase in their 2021 budget versus their actual spend in 2020. They are preparing for concerns, especially around preparing for a cookie-less future or the loss of identifiers because of new policies that are coming, and the need for a first-party data, because the more you have your own data, the better you can actually work with your marketing strategies. And third one is cross-platform measurement solutions, because right now there are solutions, but they're not integrated to really take meaningful decisions. So the cross-platform measurement will become very important. The third area they're also talking about is the digital media is expected to represent 71% of the total budgets. That would include social, search engine, display, video, which will represent nearly 60% of the 2021 total budgets. If you remember 5 years ago, it was less than 40%. Now it's 71%. So huge shift to the digital marketing. Doing business, most of the companies are looking to do business with minority-owned media companies in 2021, where everyone is looking into working with inclusive mindset and having every business in the ecosystem to participate. And the last one is data and privacy and ad tracking are top challenges in 2021. And 31% of the media buyers do not know if their stakeholders have a clear understanding of implication that they will face once the cookies and identifiers are terminated or blocked. So this is just a report and data that will help you think about how do I look at my digital marketing. So for me, I have been using this one in my organization consistently for building either solution or marketing. And I wanted to bring you an expert today who will be talking about how to look at the design thinking. Because in my perspective, design thinking is really the glue that is between the organizational disciplines. It actually glues everything. So knowing how to use this strategy and the framework, you can actually come up with a fantastic marketing strategies for your organization. So with me, I have Olivia today. I am looking forward to having, she's the communications and marketing consultant. And she's also an entrepreneur and a woman who is building a very successful marketing companies. So I would love to invite her today to the stage. So Olivia, welcome. I'm so excited to have you here.
Yes, I'm excited to chat with you about design thinking and digital marketing, two of my
Absolutely. Yeah, go ahead and tell me a little bit about you.
So I'm a communications and marketing consultant. I've been doing that for about 7 years, but recently, about 2 years ago, I started doing some marketing work for a design thinking company. And I learned about design thinking and started to see the benefits and started to add a design thinking approach to my digital marketing technique and style that I do with my clients. I also now teach design thinking workshops to professionals from all different industries and organizations who are looking to apply design thinking to their work. It's a lot of fun, and I really enjoy it. And it's a great way to merge my two passions of digital marketing and design thinking together.
Thank you, Olivia. You've been such a fantastic resource for me and my community, and I've learned a lot about how to even think about design thinking and marketing. So I want you to start with telling us more about what is design thinking and what made you adopt this framework for digital marketing, because usually the marketeers do not even use design thinking concepts for marketing purposes, right? So tell me more about that.
Absolutely. So yes, traditionally design thinking is thought more of to be applied to product design, but it can be used for process design, service design, or even creating things like marketing strategies or other communications or engagement strategies. Design thinking is a 5-step process, and it takes you through a creative, user-centric approach to solving problems and creating innovative solutions. And it encourages the design thinkers to look at things from their end users or their client's perspective and put themselves in their client's shoes to really be able to deliver the best products, services, marketing campaigns, internal processes, whatever it is that you're developing. And I saw from taking design thinking training myself the applicabilities to digital marketing and to the target audience piece and the getting to know who you're selling to piece. So I started to learn more, and I fell in love.
And Olivia, like I've been doing marketing for many years. And I also have a product management background because I started being a technical, then moved into product management, product licensing, product marketing. Now I do community marketing, event marketing. So I do all kinds of stuff. But one of the things that I took away from design thinking is marketing is an iterative process and design thinking is an iterative process. Do you feel that they go together very well? Because when you do good design thinking, your marketing strategies are much more powerful. Do you feel that way?
Absolutely. I think it really starts to help you understand who you're marketing to and get a deep knowledge of their needs and their goals and challenges and what they're looking for and barriers that they face so that you can deliver better products and solutions and opportunities to them.
Awesome. So tell me more about who is the right audience to adopt this framework in the marketing organization and what tools are available for them today to even consider using. And if you can show something, I would love to learn about it.
Sure. So really anyone on your marketing team and everyone on your marketing team should develop or adopt a design thinking approach. Get to know those audience personas together and create those audience personas together and work together to come up with innovative solutions that will reach those end users or those target audience members in the places that they are currently. So when it comes to who on your marketing team, whether it's your social media manager who's looking to better target your audience members on social media, or whether it's your blog writer who wants to write blogs that are directly addressing your end users' needs. So you can, as Chaitra was just showing, you can create these user personas and they will help you better understand your end users and look at what they're looking for in your solution. So in the case of attending an event, you can look at your attender, Drew, and what he may be motivated by, what he needs out of an event, and what pain points he's beginning or he might face in attending a digital event. So it's a great way to know those potential attendees or those regular attendees and be able to create a situation or an opportunity that gives them access to things that help them reach their own goals.
Thanks, Olivia. That one was really good because, when I'm doing events, I'm constantly thinking about who the audience is, what's the gives and gets for them. Are we pricing it correctly? Are we delivering the experience correctly or not, right? So now tell us more about how to develop these strategic plans using this framework. So take us through that process.
Absolutely. So the first step in the design thinking process is the empathize phase. So that's when you're really getting to know your end users. You're creating those personas. You're starting to think about what they want and what they need to be successful or be meet their goals. So you've created your personas. We've looked at I'm jumping around. We've looked at Drew and understanding what Drew needs to be enticed by our event and see value in our event. And then we move into creating a bit of a journey to understand how we can interact with Drew, where we can engage him initially. Does he come looking for us? Do we go looking for him? Where is he? What social platforms is he using? How can we best market to him? What messages is he looking for? And then what does that event need to look like to serve Drew's needs or his desires? And how can we directly target Drew with that? So again, it's all about looking back at who are you trying to target and what does that ideal experience look like for the people you're targeting? How do they want to be reached and interacted with and engaged?
Thanks, Olivia. That was really good. I know when you're going through the design process, there is like a structure, right? There's an I think there is a first process. What is that one? Is the empathy phase, correct? Is the first phase. How does that look like when you go through that process?
Absolutely. So that really comes into working with your target audience. So having conversations with them or gathering data on them. With the reports you were showing us, Chaitra, about projections for 2021 in digital marketing, it's going to become a really competitive space out there. So how are you directly engaging with that persona or those end user personas, and what do they need to get out of your service or your opportunity?
And what happens after the empathy process? What's the second?
Once you've done your empathy phase, you're moving into a define stage. So you can actually define those challenges, define those pain points, define those motivations and incentives that they're looking for. And from there, you move on to ideating on potential innovative solutions. So how can we innovate our traditional marketing tactics to better engage the folks that we're looking at and that we want to attract? And then you move into more of a prototyping and testing phase. So looking at what's worked and what's working and iterating those things that aren't working so that you can have better results.
Which is your favorite part of that process? Is it the first phase or is it prototype phase? For me, it's prototyping.
I mean, I love the empathize phase. I do really love to get to know those folks. But I think, yes, the most fun for me is in the ideating on fun ideas and then prototyping them with your users and with a test group.
Absolutely. I have, this is one of my favorite framework of all the frameworks I've used, because I think you can go from 0 to 100 very quickly. So you teach design thinking, and what kind of results are you seeing through this work?
Absolutely. So I fell so in love that I wanted to spread design thinking with more people, which is why I'm also so excited to be chatting with you about it today. But I've been lucky to see design thinking from many different avenues and vantage points. So I've worked through my courses with everything from public service workers to small businesses to technology companies. So seeing design thinking applied in more than just marketing as well. So looking at how do we create those solutions, and then how do we market them to the people we want to adopt them or use them. So it's been really fun to see Some companies go all the way from what are we creating and using a design thinking process, and then carrying that knowledge all the way out to, well, how do we sell it? How do we market it? What is the value? And really using it throughout the business process. And it's really great to see people adopting that user-focused strategy where their number one goal is to serve their clients.
Absolutely. And then I think the more we get into the new world, Olivia, like the design thinking should be used in anything you do, right? That's kind of my philosophy, is like use that framework, because I think once you understand your people and what solution you're creating and taking through this prototype and iterative, you actually have your customer become part of your journey, and it becomes really powerful because they're co-creating with you. So when you think about, I believe that the same thing applies for the digital marketing. So what are the best practices that we can create using design thinking? Step us through that one.
I think the number one is adopting those empathy best practices, creating those personas for your brand so that you can come back to them and come back to their needs with every different strategy you create or tactic you push out. I also think it's really important to do that prototyping and testing and not be afraid to try out new things and be innovative and be willing to quote unquote fail, which is not failure, but taking that and learning more from it and moving forward. So I think it can be both very helpful for finding the best way to reach your users and what they're looking for, but then also learning from what doesn't work. What happens if we don't reach our users, or how could we tweak this to get an even bigger result? So I think the constant iteration and retooling piece of it is also super valuable to adopt in an organization.
I totally agree with you. Recently I've been, reading about brands and how they create. And one of the brand, which is the Chanel brand, which is, built by Coco Chanel. I was reading her life journey and how she was thinking about the brand. And the more you look into that, I don't think design thinking framework existed. But if you look at how she created her products, used actually the design thinking process. So I know most of the brands like Apple and Microsoft's and many other consumer brands are using design thinking in the core framework. So can you share some examples for the audience so they can really start thinking about how do they implement that, and how do brands actually use this as a framework for creating the edge to creating the value that the community wants it?
Absolutely. I think one of my favorite brand examples is Proctor Gamble, who make a ton of different cleaning and household supplies. And they did a lot of design thinking work to understand their clients and provide the best products for their clients' needs. And in part of that, they would actually pay people to go into their homes and watch them clean. So they would actually watch them using the products. They would get an idea of who's using the products and how they're using the products, and really put themselves literally in the homes, in the shoes of their end users. And one of the really cool outcomes of that, they noticed a lot of moms particularly, but people ripping full-size sheets of paper towel in half because they didn't need a full-size sheet. And from that, we actually ended up with those half sheets of paper towels. And now you have so it just shows how, from watching people and understanding how they interact with your products or your services, you can better deliver products and services to them that meet their actual needs.
Awesome. Are there any slides that you want to share with us as you take us through the brand examples?
Sure. So this one is actually through the realtor.ca, which is here in Canada. They look at real estate. And here's a great example of how they've created a persona around Jay, who is a first-time home buyer. And they got to know what Jay's looking for, what Jay's motivations are. Maybe saying something like, I don't want to throw my money away on rent anymore. Purchasing is the best option for me. So really personifying Jay and understanding what he's saying and doing and thinking and feeling. And then creating a bit of a journey where they look at where they're able to engage Jay and what his emotions are and his engagement capabilities are at different stages in his journey to first time home buying, and how they can come in and actually sell products to him and engage him in their services. So I really like this example. It shows how the design thinking outputs and products can be used to share all across your organization and give that extra resource to everyone who's looking to support the engagement efforts of your end users, whether that's marketing or sales or product development.
This is awesome. Just kind of having that one pager before you even enter into solution development, knowing that empathy phase, right? Knowing the user and understanding, then you can design the right digital marketing campaigns or processes that can help, hook the customer to at least try your product. And if they like it, then they'll go buy it, right? So that's a great thing. I wanted to share one story with you, Olivia. I love Costco. This is like the massive, wholesaler where you can buy anything. And they have probably around 13,000 products in that big warehouse. What I like about it, like these brands actually have like tables across each aisle. And these are little tiny products you can try. And when you try, you actually like it. And then you go pick up the whole bag and put in. And I truly believe is that they've used this design thinking concept even to know exactly how to attract the customers and what kind of things you want to do so the customers actually want to buy a big bag of that chips or whatever it is. It's insane that happens. And I truly believe Costco does that one, is use that design thinking process on how to entice the customer to buy the product. And that's also a marketing strategy.
Absolutely. I'm sure that they put a lot of time listening to people who are maybe saying things like, I don't want to buy it till I try it. And how can we solve that pain point for them and have them engage and purchase our product? And the same goes with digital events. So if you know you have your personas, these are who you're trying to get to your digital events, what are those folks looking for in a virtual event? Do you see them saying online or in your conversations with them that they're sick of not having any opportunity to network as we're all at home, or they're sick of the overactive chat function, or they wish there was more of a chat function? So how can you build those digital event experiences based on what they want or don't want, and also how can you get that information from them? So having these conversations, looking at any feedback you've received from previous events, and also making sure you're asking for that feedback so you can keep iterating along as you go.
Absolutely. And, Olivia, we both are working on the Women in Cloud Summit that's coming up. And if you look at the amount of thinking that we are putting in the audiences, everybody said they need more social capital rather than just listening to conversation, right? The whole design of the summit was designed with 70% more networking than, people talking to them. So wherever they go, they get to meet. It feels like a real experience. We had to really pick the right product and the right experience. And it's all through the design thinking with the audience of what they really want to see.
And so another great thing we've done around the Women in Cloud Summit is hosting the sneak peeks. So actually doing some of that prototyping, having our audience, people who are going to be there, actually weigh in on the programming and see if should we have more of this? Should we have less of that? Does it feel accessible to you, or are there things that are keeping you from wanting to fully engage? So I think the design thinking process has been strong throughout setting up the Women in Cloud Summit.
I totally agree with you on that. So now, before we have the audience Q&A, any best practices or tips for the audience to develop their game-changing digital marketing strategies with design thinking frameworks?
So I would recommend that everyone develop their personas. figure out who your organization, your company, your brand, or from a product level that you're actually trying to engage through your output, and get to know them, figure out how you can talk to them, how you can get their feedback. And from there, you can really design strategies and campaigns that keep them front of mind, and messaging that directly addresses what they're looking to hear and what they're looking to experience and gain. So I would say creating those processes, or those personas, and going into it with a very empathetic mindset and adding that empathy lens to your digital marketing is a great best practice that everyone can start with, especially as we're getting further and further apart, it feels sometimes. How can we add a bit more empathy and kindness to the digital space?
Awesome. So, Olivia, I know you've been such a value asset for me and our community. How can someone reach out to you? And do you have like an offer that you can share with the rest of the world so they can engage with you?
Absolutely. So if anyone is interested in having a further discussion about design thinking, or is interested in taking training, we actually are offering design thinking workshops and strategy planning. So we would love to, this is a very tip of the iceberg discussion, and we would love to actually help you work through your own digital marketing strategy from a design thinking lens.
And thanks, Olivia. This is like, I would say, the most reasonable offer I've ever seen around the design thinking. So if you're listening, please work with Olivia. She's absolutely phenomenal when it comes to design thinking, and especially for digital marketing, if you're looking for it. Before we were going to the Q&A, just a little bit, if you want to get engaged with Mela to really think about your own event strategy and think about your events, we do offer a free 30-minute consultation with you, so we can talk about how to digitally transform your marketing and events. Please connect with us. And if you have an event that you are hosting, please go to speakerengage.com and share your event so we can help you promote. That's our commitment for getting you access into a larger network of community. And then you can reach out to us very easily. Just send an email and connect with us. So with that, I would say, Olivia, that was a fantastic conversation. I learned a lot that I should be spending more time on empathy phase than getting into my prototype phase. So thank you so much. So let's see if we have any questions from the audience. If you're listening, please type in the chat box so that I can facilitate the Q&A. But there's one question, Olivia. When you're going through the empathy phase, what are the kind of things I need to have in place to prepare for it? What kind of questions I need to ask, or do you need to always have a design thinking coach with you?
No, it's absolutely something that you can do and take into your own organization and be the design thinker for your own organization. So I would say there are different ways to get information from your end users. You can do things like surveys. You could actually go out and have conversations with people, but you can also look for what are they saying online. So in the case of virtual events, what are they saying about other virtual events in your industry on Twitter? What can you learn from those pieces? So really getting to understand how your end user is behaving online and what they're looking for in that digital world. And there are a lot of different activities that you can use to better understand your end user. There's empathy maps, there's mind mapping, there's the actual art of creating personas. And so again, how you approach it is totally up to you, but definitely getting to understand through conversations or collecting data what those people are interested in.
Absolutely, that I completely agree. And as you go through it, as people are typing the question, any special things you're doing for holidays? How are you preparing for holidays this year?
Well, it's definitely been a different year for sure to prepare. I've been doing a lot more online shopping. So again, I've definitely been looking out for good and bad design thinking in my online shopping process and seeing who really has the best end user service and the advertising around holidays and how the digital world has changed. But besides that, I'm just looking forward to spending some time with my family and having a bit of a break.
Awesome. Awesome. I'm looking for the same thing. This week and next week is a little bit of like pushing through this year and then taking some downtime and coming back and, hosting like a largest global event for women. So it's pretty exciting. One more question I have from the audience is, are there any good practices and bad, like good habits and bad habits around design thinking that they need to be aware of?
Absolutely. One of, I think, the most important habits to consider when you're prototyping, especially, is to keep things in a draft. So you don't have to get it perfect right away. You're going to keep working on things and polish them as you get that feedback and as you're able to test with your users and talk to your network and do all of those practices. So I've seen people go through the design thinking process and want to have these perfect personas. But once you get through delivering your service, you may learn a lot more that you want to bring back to your personas. And it takes some practice to get them totally polished. But I think making sure that you just keep going and you keep implementing and iterating and applying what you've learned from other tries or talking to other people, then it's great to keep adapting and learning and innovating.
Absolutely. There's one thing like, the example that you showed about the realtor example about Jay, that template was pretty phenomenal. Where can, audience find those templates as they are working on it? Because at the end of the day is how you represent the data on a single sheet is very powerful. Olivia, do you have like a, template library, or is there a place people can find those templates?
So there are a lot of really great tools. They might not give you the quite the J level of output, but there are some great tools out there. There's one called Miro, Miro.com, that will help you build these journey maps or build these different design thinking tools within the template that you can share and distribute with your team. If you're looking for inspiration, a quick search on Google of user journey maps can come up with some very beautiful ones. I think there are exhaustive examples and everyone seems to do it a bit differently. And so looking at all the different ways people display that journey and all the data they include. I love the Jay example because it actually includes a sentiment piece. So how is Jay happy at this stage in the journey? Is he frowny face? So again, each organization does it a little bit differently, but I think the core principles of looking at your user going through their path to elicit or adopt your service is so important.
Absolutely. No, this one was really an enlightening conversation, Olivia. So thank you so much. And we are at the end of the session. So thank you for being here and educating all of us about design thinking. So I'm asking everybody is to reach out to you on LinkedIn. Please feel free to reach out to Olivia. And if you want to, and really adopt the design thinking as a concept in digital marketing, because it definitely changes the game for you, what you do. And test it out, prototype it. And there's nothing called as failure in this particular phase. You're only learning. So again, Olivia, thank you. And let's wish everybody a happy holidays.
Thank you for having me and have a very happy holidays, everyone.
Thank you. Bye then.